everyone, I'm Bishi, and today we are playing more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We are getting into episode 2 of Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. We just did the entire first episode yesterday, which took a little longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. We're also going to be doing a little shorter stream because I have to get up early tomorrow, so we'll just see what stopping point we get to today. But we're going to make some progress in episode 2 and have some good Ace Attorney fun with a new case. It's always exciting starting a new case. So it's going to be Lawyer Susato for the rest of the game, right? Right? I know, I'm like, do we get to be... Is Susato the protagonist this time? I don't think so, but I would love if it like traded off every now and then. You know what I mean? I think that'd be very fun, but we'll just have to get into it and see. But anyway, let's do it. Let's just do it. Alright, I'm assuming there's gonna be some cutscenes. Episode 2. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. We're going back to Britain yet?
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day.
2 crimes in one sitting?
Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
All right. It sounded like there was 2 murders in like one day or something, or back to back. Oh, we're back to Ryu. The original one. The original Ryu is back. All right. Susato better pop up later, though. I'm gonna be upset. Welcome in, Arkham. He is here. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber, thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. From Susato? Maybe? Oh, somebody's hungry. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Flatmate? 30th August, 7:28 a.m. Sholmes' suite. Sholmes is back. He's back.
Oh, Runo, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready.
Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Shh! Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. That's the first thing he says in the new game. He tells us to shut up. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes. I see. So that's it. Oh, God! This is how he's reintroduced to us. Just... just in your face. Welcome in, croissant. Oh my god. The truth is as clear as... The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have, this very morning, met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? You're just insulting him. You're just insulting him. Oh. I started Baldur's Gate, nice, and it's so good. Decided to go with a tiefling character. Ooh, yeah, I still don't know what race I'm gonna go for in Baldur's Gate. I don't know. Tiefling sounds really fun, though. I usually, if I'm able to, make some kind of like a demon-looking hot lady character. Muscular hot lady character, I don't know. Astarion is very, yes. I'm glad you're not bleeding anymore, King. Put Herlock's face without warning. Yeah. Warning, British. And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you.
Really pulled your button off?
Oh no. He pulled his button off. The fanfiction is writing itself. Oh yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder, then, that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. So he threw a tantrum and just ripped a button off of him. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring.
But really, Ruuuvo said it when you came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning.
Ah. I actually forgot he said that. Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire. The famous consulting detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name.
All right then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend.
And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, as published in Ranced magazine. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Well, I received a letter from Japan.
Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it really?
That's right. And she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast.
Oh yes, what fun.
Oh, there we go. Alright. Usually I would look around, examine stuff, but we just saw this room not too long ago. I don't know if there's anything new to look at. The machine is back. I guess we could look around, right? It's a new game. Probably should. It just looks exactly the same as the other games. I'm like, well. But to be fair, it was 2 years apart from the other one, so. Oh my goodness, the worst part of Baldur's Gate is the bi-panic of having to decide who I'll go for, Karlach or Asteri. Truly a conundrum. Let us know who you go for in the end. Sure, they reused a lot of assets. Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, this is like the exact same room. I don't know if there's any different details, but I don't know. Why not? Hey, Green, welcome in. We'll look around anyway. It's the beginning of a new game. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name.
Charlie calls it his great analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all.
That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even mean? Ah, an extremely astute question, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Well, as Iris said, my machine here spits out analysis results of anything with which you care to present it. But how to interpret those results, that's the key. And I confess I have no idea. Huh. Interesting. Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help. I have to make a machine for my other machine. Oh my god. That's a very Herlock thing, though, isn't it? Staring is so baby girl, though. That's very true. See, when we do end up getting Baldur's Gate, which is any day now, because now it's on console, I think Ruuvo's gonna go for Astarion, and I'm gonna go for Karlach. And then that way we could see both of the romances. Alternatively, if you go for one or the other Arkham, you could do a second playthrough and go for the other one that you didn't choose the first time. It's very, very replayable from what I've heard, so... I won't be able to stay long, but desperately need this stream as a palate cleanser. Oh no, well I hope you're doing okay. I don't know what happened that you need a palate cleanser, but either way, happy to have you here, and hope that I do my job as a palate cleanser. I hope I can be a good one. Just like a slice of ginger, you know, between pieces of sushi. Oh my god. I made it to episode 52 of One Piece. Only 1,047 episodes to go. Wow, you're making such great progress. No, that is great. 52 episodes is quite an accomplishment. That's a lot. Speaking of One Piece, actually, my friends, when we went to go visit them for Labor Day, they actually got us to watch the live action of One Piece, and we just finished it earlier today. So now I've seen the live action show. I don't know how many of y'all have watched it. To me, it's probably like one of the best live action adaptations I've seen before. There are some parts where I was like a little like, oh, that was kind of like corny, but it's fine. I appreciate the casting as well. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna translate to me getting into One Piece, but I did like the live action show, so I'm happy with that. Munching on Bishi streams like they're bubblegum. Nothing super wrong, just had to leave the save data stream because they were being too cynical about it for me and it made me sad. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, everyone has their own opinions on things, but I do think that sometimes being overly critical can kind of like make some people uncomfortable, and you know, I don't like being overly critical or anything. I know you said cynical, but you know, try to stay positive. But either way, glad to have you. Welcome in, Bing. Howdy. Very good depiction of One Piece. I'm impressed they managed to make all these goofy characters work. Arlong especially looks right. Yeah, I was curious about the makeup for that character, and I wonder how they're gonna handle some of the other characters later on, like the moose creature thing. I don't know his name. I'm not into One Piece, but if they release a season 2, I'll watch it. You know, because the live action was good, and you know why I like it? Because it's condensed. It's probably 100 episodes in like 8 episodes. Chopper, right? Chopper. What are they gonna do about Chopper? Yeah. I don't know. I liked the snail phones. I thought they were other than being creepy, I thought they were interesting. Yeah, we're talking about One Piece, we're talking about Baldur's Gate, Ace Attorney, all of that. I'm kind of just exploring the room right now. Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Miss Susato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess.
Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch those shelves.
Oh? Why not?
Everything is in intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down.
Oh.
Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset.
You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. He's a hoarder. Of knowledge! Okay, what else do we have to look at? I guess we look at the trunk again. Ah yes, the huge metal chest with the lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut.
That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases.
Yes, so I've been led to believe. Though personally, I've never actually seen inside.
And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten.
What? Is there a beast inside there or something? Is the One Piece live action actually approved by manga or anime fan? I have no idea. I've been hearing a lot of people that watched it enjoyed it, but I don't know how many of them are like diehard One Piece fans. I don't know. I think some of them were, maybe. Unheard of as far as I know. Yeah, as like a non-fan, I enjoyed it. As far as I've heard, the fans like it. And it's like a super, super condensed version of it. Like, I think it's 8 episodes, and each episode's like an hour. And I feel like it went into like at least 50 or 100 episodes or something from the anime. Because I feel like the anime has, maybe not necessarily a lot of filler, but it probably has a lot of arcs and stuff. A lot of stuff that you don't necessarily need to like understand the story. I don't know. And the author had a hand in it. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm usually totally against live action adaptations. I don't, just because I don't usually like them. But my friends got us to watch it, and I actually liked it. Finished it today. Can't imagine how you translate that to live action. Yeah, probably gonna be CGI. I mean, I don't know how else they would do that. They're just gonna have like a person instead of a creature. And he's just gonna have antlers on his head, but he's gonna be like a person. I don't know, they might do that. Oh, that would be so funny. Okay. It's just a deer, yeah, like a literal deer. An animal actor. When it gets to this time of year, Londoners seem to leave their hearths alight all day long, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames flit and dance about. But a fireplace in days of summertime is a waste of space. Really, no use at all.
Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals, huh, Hurley?
But consider this. Instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea. So air conditioning. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer months. What do you think? I think if you invented such a thing, your name would go down in history. The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a cold fire in the hearth. Yes, of course. Brilliant. The trouble is, none of the fires I build ever burn cold. How it taunts me. So as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squib. I don't like that. I don't like how that sounds. Can we get another warning for British, please? I need a warning for that. These are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Sholmes? Not quite, Mr. Naruhodo, not quite. These trinkets are a selection from cases I've solved with particular aplomb. They are souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruhodo, memories. Really? So, tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. I forget. Memories, he says. Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes, wonderful. Yeah. Hey, I mean, lack of memory, people unite. Can't remember shit either. Hey, Zoe, welcome. Pizza. What flavor? What type? I guess most people say what toppings. I say what flavor. No way Sholmes is talking about AC in the 1800s when English people nowadays keep insisting it's not normally hot enough to need AC units. Sholmes is my man. And here's the problem. Weather is changing, and so the UK is starting to get too hot. I've heard stories of the last few years of them having like heat waves, and they don't have AC because they're not built for hot temperatures, but things gotta change now. I think things gotta change now. They're gonna need that AC. Unfortunately. Oh, pepperoni. My favorite. Yeah, send it through the Wi-Fi. Everyone gets a slice. Okay? You'll be left with, like, a fraction of a slice. Oh. There are so many different bottles up there on that charming little set of white shelves.
Oh, do be careful, Ruuuvo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry.
I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know.
Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids.
He what?
He said he was hungry.
Oh my god. I'll be extra careful. Hurley's just built different. The buildings are made to retain heat, so it's even worse. Oh. Oh god. Yeah, I guess usually it's kind of like overcast, cold. That's changing. It's changing. You know, honestly, even here, in a place where it gets hot all the time and we know that, we don't build our buildings for the heat. We really don't. Like, I think ideally, at least in, like, Texas, we should be having probably, like, adobe buildings that can actually, like, self-cool. But instead, we have to rely on air conditioning, you know, all that stuff, so... Everything sucks. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day.
Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's never the same twice.
When you call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time.
Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat.
That sounds ominous. Ominous? Adobify Texas now? Adobify this shit! Oh.
I can type with my eyes shut, you know.
I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun.
That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake.
That's incredible.
But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine.
And how do you know you didn't make a mistake?
Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all.
I think you might have just fallen asleep on the job. Okay, that's it for looking around. Miss Susato's letter. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning, by international post.
Oh, how lovely! Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it.
And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case.
Really? Oh, isn't she wonderful?
A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man twice. You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago. They keep talking about 2 cases. I only remember 1 case. Huh. The mustached, twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. Yeah, you said that.
He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley.
Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. Startling news. Adobe needs to become the only material for building. Yeah, at least from what I remember, that should be what we should be using. It would help a lot. I hate dreams that are hyper-realistic. One time, a dream tricked me into thinking I was sleeping over at a friend's. Woke up in the morning all excited for the evening, but no. Oh. I've had dreams trick me that I had eaten that day, so at 10 when I felt hungry, I was very confused. Oh no! I just dream of like this giant, delicious banquet. You wake up hungry. It's the worst. The worst thing is like when you dream that you wake up and you're not awake, and then you actually wake up. I have dreams like that a lot, where I, in my dream, will wake up and start doing the things I need to do that day, like doing what needs to be done around the house or whatever. And then I actually wake up, I'm like, oh, I gotta do it again. I gotta do it again. Oh. I had so many false awakening dreams when I was still in school. Oh yeah, the school ones were the worst, because then you're like, oh, I'm already at school. And then you wake up, you're like, no, I actually have to go to school. Hate dreams and dreams. Why do they exist? Yeah, it's terrible. Startling news. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Susato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes? Ah yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago. For what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send the telegram.
Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said. Very mysteriously as well.
The Baskerville one? Really? I said that. Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago? Mouths ago? Typo. I found a typo. I always find them. Leave it to me. I will always find a typo in a video game. Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 mouths ago that she had to return to Japan. 4 mouths ago. What do you mean mouth isn't a time measure? It is now. Oh yeah, my birthday was 3 mouths ago. Yeah. Hey Emilio, howdy. Still lurking while playing Starfield. Think I'm gonna be playing this for a while. No worries, I appreciate the lurk. Have fun. This morning, after my mom left, I fell back asleep for a bit and woke up to her coming back and deciding to stay home. Oh, but it wasn't real. It never happened. Miss Susato's repatriation.
It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan.
Indeed it was. Due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right. Telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No. It just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse.
A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that?
I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea, but she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that. I wonder what Miss Susato's father is hiding.
Hurley, do you know what it's all about?
Oh, suddenly he's dressed? Ah, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris?
I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later.
He's hiding something. He scuttled off rather quickly there. Oh, I guess he didn't decrab well enough. He's scuttling now. Is Iris an ally, or are we throwing hands? Iris is a baby, and she is our friend. So you stop that. Welcome in, Alfred. Scuttled is such a Sholmes verb. He sure does scuttle. I love the word scuttle. Very silly. British version of Americans will use anything but the metric system mouths. They go by mouths there instead. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-San was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes.
Aha! I found them at last.
Iris, are they...
The notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Ruuuvo?
Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. Perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light.
That's the spirit.
Let me guess, we're gonna do the case now. And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue. And I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Ew. Yeah. Man. How are we gonna do this game? Yeah, they have to have Susato as a lawyer and a flashback because Ryu can't be a lawyer anymore. It was 6 months ago. A mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick, and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time, and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-San, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a hansom? And headed immediately to the hospital. I assume that's like a mode of transportation? Handsome? Is it handsome? A 2-wheeled, horse-drawn carriage accommodating 2 inside. Okay, so it's like a little mini carriage. A little wagon. Okay. Yeah, a little carriage. Okay. I've never heard that. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Investigations. Those thrown on her behalf, exactly. I kill for Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Investigations. I would love more games of any Ace Attorney. You know, more Chronicles. We're already getting the second set of, the second trilogy, so. Very happy with that, but the more the merrier. You know, I was wondering about the lady, if she ever, like, woke up and was fine. Which they might have said she woke up but, like, nothing happened. Of course, now they're like, oh, we're just going to retroactively say there was another case from the first game, really. But you're playing it in the second one. 21st February, 5:30 a.m. Is that a rat? There's a rat. There's a raton on the floor. St. Bartholomew's Hospital Recovery Ward. Not a rat, a friend. Rat. There you are at last. Good morning, Mr. Sholmes. I think not. Oh, Susato! It's a flashback, so we have Susato again. You're late. What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes. It's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. Huh. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy, and feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Oh, okay. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. Okay. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back. Her name is... Ah yes, here we are. Miss Green. Of course it is. Well, first of all, I gotta look at this rat. Target spotted. Are we late or is time irrelevant? Make up your mind, Sholmes. Yeah. Make up your mind. Moushly! It's Moushly! She made the full transformation. And jumped video games. Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo! An enormous mouse! They call those rats. Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best. But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. Very plump. Plump rat. Squash. We must squash him. Squash him gently, yes. Just a little squash. Like the Russian guy. You just... Oh, where's a plushie? Here. I will demonstrate with Kermit. Just a little squish. Not a squanch. Just a little squish. Don't do this! Just gentle. Be gentle to Kermit. Yes, don't do that! Just gently. The do's and don'ts. It's very plump. I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. Okay, we've observed the rat. There's nothing else we need to do now. we can stop the game now. We've achieved everything we need to achieve. Okay, let's look at everything but her first. And then we'll look at her. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh. Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruhodo. A bug just gently flew into my face. I don't know what it was. first the moth. Now I don't even know what that was. Okay, I'm fine. It was just like, I don't know what that was. It might have been another moth? I don't know. It was tiny.
My, Mr. Naruhodo. I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart.
Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. It was probably a moth. Kermit always seems like he's having a terrible time.
He's not having a bad time. What do you mean?
Look, he's happy. Don't you see him smiling? He's happy. He's smiling. See? He's very happy. So happy. Okay, come on, Kermit. Get out of the way! I'm sorry, I just love squishing him. He looks like he's being forced to smile at gunpoint. I'm so happy! I'm fine. The fear in his eyes is so real. This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? Why not? Why isn't it?
I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses.
He's happy, see? Smile, Kermit. Smile. Really? It's not exactly what you would call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it? Ryu? Stop that.
No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before.
Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job.
Yeah, and maybe there should be more figures like that, huh? Huh? Ever think of that, Ryu?
There are lots of bottles in that cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that?
If you were a patient here, I feel sure you would take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep.
That is a worry. But at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one.
Oh, I've no doubt you would manage to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well.
There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Miss Susato. Okay, I'm not gonna look at her quite yet. This looks like the treatment notes for whoever's occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital.
The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so he or she is probably running around the hospital then.
Oh, that was Ryu saying that.
How worrying.
What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look. I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in reach of everyone like this.
Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two.
Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors.
I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry you would break the lock.
Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Miss Susato. It's funny, there's different dialogue for the two cabinets. Okay, so now we can look at... Maybe we can look at that, and then the bag, and then her? Try that. Hey, Panda, welcome. You did miss some Kermit shenanigans earlier, you did. Good thing Ryu never gets sick. Apparently he would be a nightmare patient. Yeah, apparently he'd be the worst ever. According to Susato. This looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place, a zoo?
Huh? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park.
For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. Poor woman. I hope she hasn't read this. And what the hell?
That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though.
I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... Don't go looking in her bag!
No, Mr. Naruhodo. You must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
but the young maiden might have chocolates or biscuits or caramel. So you're gonna steal food from her? Like, what? Okay, let's talk to her. Good morning. Oh, is she a painter? Hello, I'm, Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan.
Oh no, was it your knife that... Are you the man who...
No, I'm a lawyer. A little paranoid.
And I'm Susato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist.
Of course you're an artist. I see the paintbrushes.
Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back.
I don't think that's related, actually.
Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down.
Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. About the incident and about yourself. Scavenging for goodies, Ryu. He's just hungry. So hungry. I wonder if they were woken up and just immediately came here, yeah. Alright, incident. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green.
It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in hospital, I mean.
Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Oh, please.
Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case.
Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green?
Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was selfish of me.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. We're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are.
With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Oh. About you. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green?
Oh, no. Oh, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country.
Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts?
Oh no, actually. I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road.
Oh, she is so self-deprecating. She doesn't even think she deserves her house? Girl, I see. How very interesting.
Oh no, is it?
Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town centre. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? I suppose Soseki-San does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine arts student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up.
Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs.
Oh, dear me, do forgive me.
If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things.
Oh, yes, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. I'm surprised they didn't fill her in. Is there Mr. Narrow Fodder here? Mr. Narrow Fodder? Narrow Fodder now? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrow Fodder. Good. This is for you. It's a message from a Mr. Saucy Nutmeg. A Mr. Who? Huh? A Mr. Saucy Nutmeg? Oh! Oh! The names in this sequel are already too much for me. Mr. Natsume sent a message. Oh! I thought this was a new character! I was like, oh no, Saucy Nutmeg. Okay. It's Mr. Natsume. Sorry. Mr. Natsume sent a message to me? I was like, new character.
But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume?
Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? What are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh. He's very impatient. Well, this is most unexpected. Something wrong, Mr. Sholmes?
Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes, he says. Have you not seen this note?
No, you took it. No, how could I have? He's so infuriating sometimes. It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once.
Murder?
Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That will be entirely convenient.
Convenient? What do you mean?
It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The note that you wouldn't let us read? The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Moustache's lodgings. Wait, what?
I'll hail
I'm looking that one up. Welcome in, Anna. Howdy. I don't know how to say words.
Fiacre.
Fiacre. Okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to say fiacre. Such common knowledge I didn't have. Oh my god.
I'll hail a fiacre at once.
Sholmes casually commits a felony. Oh, reading someone else's mail? I didn't know that either. Yeah. Who would? Who would that isn't a time traveler from the 1800s? That's how you catch them. Baby girl Sholmes. Fiacre. Yeah, you gotta say it with a southern accent. It was only yesterday that Soseki-San was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address? He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. February 21st, 7:18 a.m. Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor. Oh, this little fancy pants again. But he's dead? What on earth? So he says, get thee to a nunnery, and then he dies? Okay.
Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead.
Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire! Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday! I was finally home after 2 days of misery! And then I wake up the next day to this! No early bird should catch a worm like this! Woeful worm without wiggle! I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Ah! Not the horrible hairlock Sholmes! Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself the door! I never invited you!
Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume.
I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Oh, there's him again. Here they are, already. The busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Huh. I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Oh boy. Okay, we got a lot to look at here. Who the devil is this? Well, let's look around at everything else first, of course. Soseki had a terrible time in England. Yeah, they really had to portray that. Let's make him get involved in 2 cases back to back. That will surely suffice. Oi, I said hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene. Okay, never mind. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance. I know your kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Or maybe curry some flavor? I'm here all day. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. Excuse me? Mr. William Shamspear. He was a lodger here. William Shamspear. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead.
Mr. Shamspear.
It was the landlord, old Mr. Geradeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Geradeb got worried and knocked the door down. But doesn't Mr. Geradeb have a bad leg? Oh yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. God, this description. Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fella looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the culprit— I mean, cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you?
Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again.
It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Didn't this guy get arrested in the last game? Yes, so this is a flashback. They kind of did like a retcon. So the case that we're doing right now apparently took place right after the one in the other game, but it just wasn't covered in that game. it's in this one. So now we're doing a flashback to learn about, oh, that case we did 6 months ago, which never happened until the second game, but yeah, it's a flashback. Also, welcome in, Fran.
Crikey Willikers, it's more British, isn't it?
Yep. Yes, indeed. He just does come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he?
Poor man, how unfortunate.
Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fellow's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. He's still holding a fork, too. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences! So, the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just 1 story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So did you know the victim? Were you friends? What's the matter with Soseki-San now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it!
What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Throw that inspector over there! What is he doing? What is he doing? That's why Susato isn't as dashing and gallant as she was yesterday. Yeah, this is a flashback to the old Susato. This case was originally written as right after the first Natsume case, but had to get moved when Chronicles had to be split up because Takumi wrote too much for just 1 game. Oh my god. He just had too much to say. Too much to play. Oh my goodness. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I was even thinking, like, was this a rejected case from game 1 and they just put it into game 2 or something? But that makes more sense. It was intended to be played that way, but... Alright, Herlock. What are you doing? Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Ah, you need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose.
Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery?
Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened.
My goodness. But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes?
Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Ah! Oh. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Oh. He is acting super suspicious. All right, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore.
You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail.
But of course. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Alright, the Great Deduction. Game is afoot. Topic 1, Cause of Death. Conclusion is yet to be seen. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Oh yeah, he's like frothing at the mouth. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Butter? Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Indubitably. Oh. Soap? I thought it was butter. Wait, so the foam is probably from the soap. Why is this soap set so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's Last Supper, in fact, yes. Is it actually butter? I don't know. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Even Natsume's looking at the camera like... Can I believe this guy? It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Okay, I see whatever that is on the plate. I see a spilled cup. I see a stain on the table. He's holding a fork, and he's frothing at the mouth. And his shoes are terrible. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate, pie in the cup. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though, personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Okay. Conclusion, poisoning from soap ingestion. Topic 2, suicide or murder. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. I love how Natsume's family was like, yes, excellent. This is how we want him to be remembered by future generations. You have our blessing. Just make sure they know he hated Britain. That's all we need. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' Great Deduction. Thank you for that. Very good. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing.
How extraordinary.
In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut.
And did it?
As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. Ew! The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. I have to admit something. Growing up, I would always see, like, movies or shows where, like, if someone cursed, they would get soap put in their mouth. So one time I did try, like, licking a bar of soap to see what it tasted like. It wasn't good. I must have been, like, 5 or something. I was very little. Has anyone here tried soap before? No? It was soap. Poisoning. It was an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. No, I can't either. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did.
There's something that troubles me as well, actually.
What's that? By accident, yes. On purpose, also yes.
It's Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow.
Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last.
I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do.
Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place.
In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Do not eat soap. Sholmes is so smart. I'm learning so much. Today I learned, don't eat soap. Careful observation of the victim reveals the events that transpired. Foam at the mouth clearly indicates poison. That's true. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. So it is soap. Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish, like the victim's Last Supper? Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer, and there's the first wrong thing. With Natsume looking into the camera like, are you for real? Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something.
Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks.
And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate.
But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap.
Okay. So we want to prove that he ate soap? Oh, no. There's the other piece of soap.
Take that!
Looks like cheese or butter. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The other piece of soap reveals the answer. it being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really. For no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap, says you. After you've just said someone would do that. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answers we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument, then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Uh-huh. There's a teacup. We're probably gonna go with the teacup. Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. So we've already established the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Okay. The victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted, so we'll say, I guess, the teacup?
Take that!
Hey, Juma, welcome in. Ah, this boy, lad, fellow, whippersnapper. It is him. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Alright, cause of death, poisoning, or poison in the tea. Topic 2, suicide or murder. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was it suicide or murder? The audience will recall the death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. That's wrong. A Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamspeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that. What troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. There's more to this There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Okay. Looking around, there's 2 teacups!
Take that!
The man dine and die alone. This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Ah. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's Last Supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable! To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Nope. Whoa, I'm holding a Western vessel for infused hot drinks right now. What a coincidence. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to that... Halcyon? Halcyon? I swear I've said this word before, but I don't remember how to say it.
Halcyon.
Halcyon. Okay, Halcyon. I was right. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. The glasses? No? Pile of books, empty bottle, maybe the pile of books? Handle. Closed captioning says, house and days of eating too much soap. The eating too much soap part was right. Welcome in, PC Man. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read... A Picture of Monsieur... Yeah, Canterbury Yearnings. A Meal for... Yaboria. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but... They're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. Soseki-San had just been to a bookshop and bought them, that's right. So he took his 3 books that were found at another crime scene to yet another crime scene. Of course, he didn't know it was going to be a crime scene, but... Oh my god. Thank you for the lurk. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Alright, let's, yeah, pile of familiar books.
Take that!
Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Ah. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence! In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No! Never! Non-negotiable! If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Oh my god, I suppose. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Oh my god. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. Oh, thanks so much for the follow. Thank you. Soseki's losing it. Oh my goodness. Data! Thanks so much for these raids lately. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for that raid. Oh my goodness. Welcome in, y'all. Soseki is having a bad time, as usual. What a good time to stop on us, right? What were you playing? Can we get a shout out for Data, please? Welcome in, y'all. I like that other than the English language, Mr. Natsume is dominating the art of JoJo posing. Exactly. He just JoJo poses everywhere he goes. Yeah, welcome in Phila and Luna and Aqua and Nia and Data, of course. Oh, you're also playing Chronicles. Okay. It's been a pleasure to raid you. I appreciate that. Thank you. How's the case gone so far? Pretty good. We are still really early on. We are in the second game here, Resolve? Yes, Resolve, and we're in episode 2, case 2. And we are just in the investigation portion. We are still learning what the heck is going on right now, but basically there's a murder of someone that's basically William Shakespeare. His name is William Shamspeare. It's hilarious, but welcome in, y'all. For anyone who's new in here, my name is Bishi. And I'm playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles all the time right now. But probably next week I'll be playing Pokemon DLC as well. So I like to play all kinds of stuff. I'm a fan of Yakuza, Pokemon, Zelda, Resident Evil, Ace Attorney, obviously. Lots of other stuff. Kind of all over the place. We were in the 5th section of this game. Oh, okay, so y'all are way later on. Oh, interesting. Welcome in, King and Dougie. And Neri. And Rightworth, welcome in. And Devious. Seeing if I missed anybody. Ah, the Resolve, yes. We're in the sequel. I see you've reached the soap. Yeah, we're at the soap. We're at the soap, the silliest. You saw the dead twig, I did. Which, is that not the guy that said get thee to a nunnery from the first game? Was that someone else? So now I'm questioning that. I'm like, was that the same dude? They're both fancy pants, but I don't know if they were the same people. I don't remember. And also, since y'all are, I believe, later on, right? Later in the game than me, this is a no spoiler zone. I have never played this game before. It's my first time ever playing it. So please, no spoilerinos at all. I would appreciate that. Please help Soseki. He's shaking so hard. He can cause an earthquake. I know, I gotta help him in a second. He's gotta wait. He's gotta wait. His hands are gonna fall off. Welcome in, Shadow. Yeah, there's still a lot to go before you get there, yeah. It is the same person. It was him. Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, was that the nunnery guy? Okay, it is, it is. They waited a whole ass game to introduce him. Yeah, we never got to figure out who the hell he was until he died, so that's cool. Oh, it's a line from Shakespeare's... Oh. Okay, I see. If I knew Shakespeare better, I would have caught that, but I don't. I did not remember that. I'm at soap. What do you mean you're at soap? So Seki looks like he ate the soap. Yeah, everyone's eating the soap now. All right. Poor guy. In short, there is only one possible conclusion. Just dead. Dead. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor... stealing his thunder. Was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. He just has extreme anxiety and paranoia. That's what's wrong with him. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. Yeah, you caught us right at the tail end of the deduction part. They are so silly scrunkly. Very, very much so. There's lots of silly scrunklies in this game. Constipated? Oh my god. Soseki's got anxiety, gut problems, and paranoia. What a combo. Poor dude. Oh. He's even making, like, constipated sounds. He's struggling. Not again. Not again. Not again. Oh my god. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible! He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building, after all. You'd have had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But... Misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. Well, immediately arrested 2 days later, after already being arrested before. Hook hand car door. Yeah, he was just released yesterday. Like, come on, man. Wasn't his family cool with his likeness in the game on the condition his character hated his time in London? Yes, yes. I've been told that. I like how Soseki is very much like the real-life Soseki, who did extremely hate his stay in London. They definitely portrayed that correctly. Yeah, the revised deduction, the better one. Yes. Soseki, IBS warrior. So brave. So brave. Oh. Facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. You horrible hairlock Sholmes! He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside. There's a carriage waiting. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me. Please, please! I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. My tummy hurts. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me! Oh. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. It's all your fault. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. That's true. Herlock was saying that he was probably by himself. We're the ones that, implicated poor Natsume. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now.
Yes, that's right. And of course...
What?
Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, who discovered Mr. Shamspear.
Ah, Mr. John Garadeb, yes.
I suspect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual.
Right. We must remember to go and talk to him later then. Alright. We're gonna investigate and then go talk to Mr. Garadeb. And finally look around. A proper not-soap meal would fix him, I think. Yeah, that's all he needs. I need to know the real Natsume also did JoJo poses on a constant basis. Yes, he did JoJo poses before there was JoJo. I like how Herlock and us take turns implicating Natsume. Not even his fellow man would spare it. Gotta find the truth.
This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it?
Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances?
Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office.
What?
Then you could practice your art every single day.
Mm-hmm. I'll think about it. If you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge.
Well, if that would help you achieve your goal.
Any excuse to dress up as a boy again. This I have to see. Oh. What else is there? Oh, this? This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall.
Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas.
But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they?
Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there.
Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. It's so much cozier. Drag King Susato ain't afraid of nothing. I just love how in the first case of this game, she's described as gallant and dashing. Curiously handsome, even. It was great. I loved it. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind.
Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
Oh, I see. Yes, now you've pointed it out, I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here...
That's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you were a poor person with no money, you would have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank.
Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. There's the window, not window.
As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay.
What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property. It's extraordinary.
It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax.
Oh. What is it, Miss Susato?
If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose.
Oh. More soap? Oh yes, it looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shamspear who did it, I wonder? Being the lodger renting this room?
Look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge, and there's something on it.
What, outside? Huh? It's cheese, butter, or soap.
It's so cold outside. You can feel it through the gap.
It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap! Why is there so much soap? Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window?
I have no idea. The pair of them look rather charming like that.
Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window? Very clean windowsill, yeah. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two, after all.
Oh dear. I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap.
Oh.
You see? In the middle there? There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but...
some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain.
It looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand.
Expensive? And what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Bar of soap has been entered into the court record. A cheap bar of soap that was discovered just outside Mr. Shamspear's window. One of two that were found there. Well, we're gonna look at that right away. She thinks the soaps are friends. So charming. Which is worse, window tax or inflation? Both are bad. Both are bad. Take it from me when I say this case is going to be gas of a good time. Interesting. I think that comes out.
This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it?
Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special.
I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is a rather expensive soap.
That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. Nothing else about it? Oh no, I guess it doesn't come out. Huh. Okay. Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow, they look out of place in this room, with its grim, shady goings-on.
This one looks like a king's attire.
A king? I've always dreamt of being a king.
Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord. A daimyo, or such like.
With a chonmage top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage. Chonmage? Chonmage? I don't know. Chon mage? I don't think that's right. I'm assuming that's a Japanese word. Let me look that up. What am I saying? Yeah, probably chonmage. A type of traditional Japanese top knot, haircut worn by men. I'm assuming it's chonmage. Chonmage. That's like when I hear people say tamago instead of tamago. Tamago or tamago. Like, you don't have to have an accent, but... I see Susato's back in London. Yeah, we're in a flashback. We're in a flashback right now.
You would look wonderful with one, and you already have the sword.
Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword?
There's not much on these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yes, not much use, are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste, and that he should donate some to the needy.
You can suggest it next time we meet. Even the characters realize he's so wasteful. Oh, there's something interesting on the ground over here.
What's this?
It looks like part of an envelope, I think.
Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened.
Is that significant?
Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there?
She's right.
And yet, here we have the torn-off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual.
I agree. We better take this just in case. Okay, the torn-off end of envelope has been entered into the court record. A ripped piece of an envelope that was found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. The rest of the envelope could not be located. Okay. I also thought this could be like a loose board or something, but it's not. I guess let's look at the dude.
Oh, the poor man. So young to die. You suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was?
I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder... Do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul?
Sorry?
I made sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment.
There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? Oh, she's just reading it. Okay. There's the teacup.
One of the teacups that Mr. Shamspeare and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside.
I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty.
That's true. So, one was Mr. Shamspeare's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from.
But Soseki-San wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. Okay, the pair of teacups has been entered. The teacups used by Mr. Shamspeare and Mr. Natsume. The one with the green line around the rim was Mr. Natsume's. I think that might be everything. Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Oh, Inspector Gregson. Back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then.
Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low, being back in a cell again so soon.
I don't think he's dead. Did anyone check his pulse? What the fuck? I'm sure we should probably go and...
What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Out! Out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player. That struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Get thee to a nunnery, demon! Typical theater kid behavior. Now, how soundeth the next part? It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indeed. Oh, happy day. Did he actually die? Why did he death drop? Wah, 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 wah. Bam! Bum, ba, da, da, ba, ba, blam! Oh my god. My internet also death dropped just now. I think we're back. Finally. Yeah, the stream death dropped. Sorry about that. Let me just type in chat. Alright. Hello! What a time for the stream to go down. My router was throwing a tantrum, so I just restarted it and we should be good to go now. But sorry about that. I think the death drop was too much. It was too much. I've just been sitting here in the silence waiting. No music or anything. What a harrowing time. But I'm back. And thank you for the follows. Thank you, thank you. Let me see. I think I got one from Rightworth. I don't know if the alerts are working yet. Internet might be a little bit unhappy with me. Let me restart my bot as well. Whenever my internet goes down, I have to restart the bot. That was me, don't worry. That's my computer. Anyway, hello. Good timing. I just got a new spaceship and my game was freaking out. The timing of this little mishap. You can't make this stuff. I know, right? We're doing it live. It's very obvious. The zombie twink was too much for the internet. It really, really was. All right. I think we're good to go. Let's keep going. Thank you so much for the follows. Okay. What? Walking Dead! I just can't believe he death dropped. Look at his pose. Oh, that right there. That's a thumbnail right there. Shakespearean twink breaks stream. Details at 11. The fella isn't dead at all. What was that nonsense he was saying, though?
I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Okay, so yeah, he's not... I was like, is he Shakespeare, but copyright free? So he's like an impersonator of Shakespeare, so Shamspeare?
Yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5.
Shakespeare. William Shamspeare. Shantae, you stay. So it was. The victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment. And Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. Just an apartment now. Maybe he was just acting the whole time, and nothing actually happened. 21st February, Briar Road. Shantae, he got slayed. Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life. So shouldn't he go free?
I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamspeare did consume poison, as we deduced, but it was an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody.
I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. What's this? Oh! There's that other guy from before. What's that man doing over there? It looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings.
Something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Excuse me, could we have a word? Oh! His head! He said, and then faded out of existence. No, you know what? I can do better than that. He said, just bye. What the hell? He just ran off.
I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it?
I do too, but I don't remember. Yeah, it's weird. Like, you can tell that the setup for this case was being done in the other Natsume case, but then they had to push this into the second game because there was too much in the first game. That's funny. I swear if the stream broke again in this very moment, oh my god. It would be perfect timing, but also I'd be upset. I don't want that. You saw him 2 days ago. Yeah, it wasn't actually that long ago, but... Maybe, I was about to say Shakespeare's. Verlock's bad memory is rubbing off on them. I guess let's look around again.
There always seems to be a bicycle outside the BishiDove residence. I read that bicycles are extremely popular all over Great Britain at the moment, in fact.
That one seems very warped, though. Especially the front wheel. Is that to make it more of a challenge to ride, do you think?
No, I'm afraid that may be a result of the rider's incompetence. For the front wheel to be so badly warped, I'm afraid the rider may have been similarly afflicted.
Then there's a good chance Mr. Natsume has been practicing on this bicycle, I think.
Oh dear, I fear you may be right.
Oh my god. And there's the soap. Thank you for the clip. With the exception of the top floor, where Mr. and Mrs. BishiDove live, all the windows are bricked up.
Yes, that's because of an old window tax that was charged on the number of windows a property had. In order to pay less tax, the poorer members of society filled in as many of their windows.
But the tax has since been abolished, hasn't it? The windows could all be opened up again, surely.
Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of this district can't afford to pay to have the work done.
Yes, that is a sad state of affairs.
Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room.
I suppose that's the price you pay for living in very cheap accommodation.
It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that.
Eh? The BishiDove household and Mr. Natsume's lodgings are in a prominent position there on the corner. Sometimes, when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it's at a bit of a slant.
It does rather look as though it would collapse in even the smallest earthquake, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's like a pillar at the corner there, and it's like bursting a little bit. And isn't it supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Soseki-San has such a hunched back. We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to do that. What's over here to look at? Not much, just a snowman. Why has somebody built this snowman on some sort of pedestal, do you think?
That's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruhodo. That's part of the snowman's body.
Really? But it already has a perfectly good body.
Well, it's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner.
And now we're looking at him as if he's strange. Poor man. I know how he feels.
If anything, it's Japanese and British 2-ball snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? After all, real people do have 3 sections, a head, torso, and legs.
Do you ever think that perhaps you think about things too much?
I do.
All the time. That is really interesting, though. I didn't know that. I guess I just always assumed snowmen had 3 parts, but not everywhere. Welcome to ADHD, where the thinking never ends! Okay, we're going to the Garadeb's room and do a little interview. 21st February, the Garadeb's room. Here we are again. The eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode, and he still hasn't fixed the carpet from the fire.
We're here because Mr. Garadeb's the one who discovered the incident this morning. Don't forget.
Ah, you chaps, eh?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday.
It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Garadeb as anyone, really.
Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garadeb.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room.
Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? Oh, okay, we're just gonna awkwardly stare at each other. Let's just talk to him. This morning's incident. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened.
Well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer.
And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door?
Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work for us.
Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour.
That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that.
Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden?
Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
Mr. Shamspear. Good morning, sir. I won't apologize for how I got your wife arrested yesterday. Ryu, probably. Yay, awkward stares. Chat, feel free to stare awkwardly at your screens right now. Oh god. You know, when I'm streaming, I never really think about the fact that there are, like, a certain amount of people just staring at their screens at me when I'm streaming. I try not to think about it. You all are just little letters and numbers on my screen that I react to. There's nothing on the other side of the screen. It's just little letters and numbers. Yes. Oh no! Well, you know what? I'll do it back then. I'll do it back. We'll all be uncomfortable right now. Direct eye contact. Direct eye contact. But I am also uncomfortable, so I'm gonna go back now. Joke's on you, I don't look into people's eyes. You just stare at, like, the corner of the screen. Stare at chat the way Sholmes got in your face earlier. Eye contact isn't as hard when it's through the screen. It's still a little uncomfortable. You know what's so weird psychologically? I don't like eye contact. And so when I read chat, I don't really look at the camera, I look at chat. Also to read it, of course. But, like, something you're supposed to do when you, like, record yourself is, like, look at the camera, address the camera so you're addressing the person watching. But I don't like to do it, because then I feel like I'm looking into someone's eyes, because I'm looking into the camera lens. So I don't really do it that much. I instinctively avoid it, yeah. It makes me uncomfortable. I have 3 screens. Oh, nice. To be fair, I have 2 screens. I haven't found a reason to get a 3rd one yet. I've been managing with 2. Actually, I'm staring at Baldur's Gate 3. Nice. Nice. I'm hoping to start that soon, now that it's on console. I'm probably gonna get it for PS5 soon. But I don't know when. Sometime soon. I finished Pikmin, so I could throw in Baldur's Gate now. I don't like to have more than maybe 2 or 3 games at a time off stream. I've got Here's the Kingdom still gotta finish. And then I play Palia, but that's an MMO, so it doesn't really end. I could play Baldur's Gate. I am totally not staring at you right now. Oh god, my game backlog. Oop. Oop. I have so many Steam games I haven't played yet. Oh. Unless I'm very comfortable, and sometimes even then, I can't maintain eye contact and properly maintain whatever is being said. Yeah, it's like you're either gonna get eye contact, but it's gonna be too much eye contact where I'm just staring into your eyes the whole time so you know that I'm listening. But in actuality, I'm not taking in anything that you're saying. I'm more so focusing on the fact that I'm looking at you. But then also, I might strategically look away at certain times like, oh god, I think I'm giving them too much eye contact and it looks like I'm trying to be intimidating, so I'm gonna look away and then look back. But then sometimes that's a bad thing. Or I can just look away, but then I'm gonna look like I'm not paying attention, but then I'm actually going to take in what you're saying. So really it's best if I don't look in your eyes. Yeah. That is the neurodivergent experience. This is now a survey. How many of y'all still emote when watching streams or playing games when there's absolutely no feedback? How many of y'all still emote? Oh, emote? Like react and like react to what you're watching? I might need clarification. Another neurodivergent experience. When you still smile and make faces and whatnot. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I'll react to what I'm watching, yeah. I'll be like, whoa, you know, like when something happens. I mean, I think when I'm streaming, it's probably a little bit more exaggerated, but I still react when I play or watch stuff, yeah. Like, I get secondhand embarrassment, and I'll cringe, or, you know, yeah. Of course, like, if I'm just mindlessly scrolling, like, social media or something, even if I'm saying LMAO in my typing, I probably am not LMAOing, but it's more of like a phrase now. So that's when I'm not probably emoting that much, but yeah, for sure. Depends on how intense the emotion, the thing gets out of me, right? Usually do it when it's a game I'm highly invested in. My backlog includes the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise, Fire Emblem, DMC5, Red Dead 2, Nier games. Oh my god. I have like a backlog of games I already have but haven't played yet, which includes Hades. And then I also have like games like on my wish list, even if they're not on my Steam wish list. It's just like games I want to play someday, but then like years pass and I never play them. Like Bayonetta 3! I fucking love Bayonetta and I haven't played the 3rd game yet. I'm just waiting for a good excuse to buy it. I don't know. Now it's so much later. It's been out for like a year almost, this October, I think. Pathetic. Alright. Mr. Shamspear. The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right? Thank you for the clip.
Yes, William Shamspear. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now.
And how would you describe him?
In a word, destitute.
Destitute?
Well, let's face it. The only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bally screw loose.
So hard to choose which category Soseki-San would fall into.
Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude.
Yeah! He was doing research as well.
Research? Into what?
Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet and all that.
Romeo and Hamlet. There was never an Adam and Eve. It was Romeo and Hamlet. Oh.
Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated.
Oh, they changed his name in Japan? Sao? It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there?
Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shakespeare would have had much in common.
Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that.
Mr. Naruhodo, really, how rude.
He's being, like, so rude right now. What a jerk. Yesterday's events. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning?
Well now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time.
Mr. Garrideb noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose.
Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shakespeare got back. And the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end some time after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there.
Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything all right, Mrs. Sato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Garrideb, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly.
Not a big fan of stairs. Not with this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean.
Ah!
That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it?
I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bally outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
Then how did you know, Mr. Garrideb?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything.
The gas? Speaking gas?
It talks!
What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything?
Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes.
Yes, I'd more or less worked that out.
Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside.
Gas. It talks.
Alright, let me take some notes here. So... all the rooms are connected by a single pipe. The gas main. Sometimes these little details are not, like, in the court record, and I'll forget them later. I've done pretty good so far in that I haven't really had to use the notes too much, but it's always good to have something. Alright.
The gas company supplies gas to properties via the main.
Yes, I understand that too.
Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen?
Well, obviously, the room would get brighter.
Exactly. But at the same time, lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment.
What? They would dim? Why?
Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it?
Yes, of course. Because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Okay. So when someone uses the gas, everyone else's dims for a sec. Okay.
Is that supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable.
Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they grow brighter in the rest of the house.
Ooh. I mean, this just makes sense, but... Okay. Oh, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere.
You've got it.
But how would you know whose room is causing the dimming or the brightening?
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires.
Clever.
In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Oh! Okay.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garadeb. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh well, nothing to it, really.
And I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garadeb is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
A good idea.
Alright, let's go talk to Natsume. Go to the prison. I do want to take a note that Garadeb seems suspicious. He's sus! And why is he so interested in what his tenants do? Okay. Prison time.
Very sus.
He's just facing the wall. I mean, I'd probably be just as dejected, you know? Like, he just got found innocent of a crime, and now he's back in it again. 21st February, local prison, cell 9.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire!
Oh, yes?
What is he? Tell me! Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me?
Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Sholmes?
He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost.
But his diabolic deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Ah! Cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you!
Well, that sort of hurts.
Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction, too.
Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news.
Oh? The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again.
Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume?
It's terrible!
Oh.
I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly, wrong end of the stick! You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer. Why the mustache? Constant questions!
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, that selfish shyster! Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William!
Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shamspear was never actually dead in the first place.
Oh yes, that might make sense. And I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last.
Oh.
Oops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspear, didn't you? I'm not saying another word! I demand to have a lawyer present! Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. Why am I cursed like this? Poor Mr. Natsume. What happened and cursed existence. Natsume said, if alive, why dead? Why dead? We have some wonderful news. I helped accuse you of attempted murder for the second time, but I'm willing to defend you again. I got you in this mess, but I'll also get you out of it. Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell. But, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back.
It's hard to believe that was only yesterday.
This poor guy. After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening at 9:30 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspear. So, you did go to the victim's room then?
As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time! Then, what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting, and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell. That ties in with what Mr. Garadeb said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. So we met again later that evening, at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift. So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then.
And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet! Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
I'm sure.
Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare! And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shamspear's tea? No! Never! Not at all! Team Juliet won! That was me! And when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit, I swear it, categorically! So he was fine when he left the room, okay? First existence. I love how it makes it sound like they turned Romeo and Juliet into a wrestling match. Who is stronger? Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time I've learned that it's no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. Respite? I've moved more times than I can remember. And then 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed. Oh, you've heard it said both ways? I'm gonna Google it just to see. I usually say respite. But I read it as respite for some reason.
Respite.
Respite. Respite. Juliet with the steel chair wins.
The imagery of that is amazing. First? First how?
The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh no.
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead, and no one could explain why.
Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that.
I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money! A horrible history is a small price to pay! When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning.
Brave or blinkered?
But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done.
He's like a person who sees a house listed for super cheap, learns that it's haunted, and buys it anyway.
I realized how horrible that room's history really was.
Gosh, was it really so awful?
Horrible history. Twitter was officially bought on my birthday. That is so cursed. Oh no! My birthday has such a mixed bag of things associated that I'll never stop thinking of, and now the Twitter buyout is going to be one of them. I'm so sorry. Oh, happy birthday. Twitter is being ruined now.
How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened?
At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me.
Do you think that might just have been your mind playing tricks on you?
No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place.
A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean?
All the souls who've died in that room lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me!
That really is horrible.
And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night, too. The very same night that Mr. Shamspear was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right. I know it. And that's why I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home.
Hopefully a good history.
I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history.
You shouldn't say that to him. He's very sensitive. Phew. Susato-san knows how to make the man listen.
Of course, Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well.
You mean Mr. Garrideb?
Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again.
Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place.
Perhaps that may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements.
You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms.
What do you mean he pays so much attention to the gas lamps?
Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please, forget I said anything.
Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well!
What's important is that Mr. Shamspear isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come round and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released.
Yes, please! Oh, I do hope you're right.
Excuse me, I wonder who that is. Okay, so why is he so interested? It might be he doesn't want anyone else to die in the rooms. Okay. Oh, it's you. It's you.
Inspector Gregson. I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh, which do you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news it is. What?
Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Then just explain it and don't give us a choice! Then why did you ask me my preference exactly? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspear, was just unconscious. He's come round now. Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume?
Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell. Oh, no. Sorry, no. That's not on the cards.
What?
Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night.
Implicated someone?
Oh dear.
You don't mean...
I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume.
Ah!
By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life. That wickedest caitiff, Soseki Natsume.
No.
So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations.
No! I feel so bad for him. And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. Oh, is that a to be continued? Indeed it is. Here's the thing, if he were to find another room, he would still need to move his belongings, among them the metric ton of books he now has, yeah. That would be quite a trial. Alright, let's save. And I believe I will be ending early today. I did mention that at the beginning of stream, and this is a pretty good stopping point to pick back up tomorrow. I have to get up early tomorrow, so I'm just going to go ahead and end here, since it's a great stopping point. But we'll get back to this tomorrow, and we will do trial part 1, and see what the hell is wrong with this Shamspear person, because I don't think Natsume would really poison him, so... We'll see, but let's go ahead and switch over here. But either way, there's my social media up there. I am most active on Twitter and YouTube. We also have a Discord open to anybody if you'd like to join and be more a part of the community. And there are the raid messages if you want to join for that. But either way, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!